Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. And thank you especially to the patrons who help make this possible for you every single day with their support at patreon.com/SW7x7. All right, we're going to continue talking about the Acolyte trailer that dropped on Star Wars Day on Saturday. Yesterday, we spent a lot of time talking about Qimir's line about the Jedi and galactic dominance and peace is a lie and how that echoes the Sith code and whatnot. Today, we're going to focus on Mother Aniseya and her lines toward the end of the trailer. And this may be even more intriguing than Qimir's line. So Mother Aniseya appears to be talking to May when she says that destiny is not controlled by an anonymous force, and then goes on to say that if you want to pull this thread and change everything, then pull it. Now you pair this with the tagline for the trailer, which is "No one is safe from the truth," and the idea that May's character is going to get Jedi Master Soul to face some trouble from the past, and knowing that we are essentially at the end of the High Republic era and we're about to witness the very beginning of the end of the Jedi Order's prominence in the galaxy, those lines are pretty darn significant. Now certainly something seems sinister about this group of Force witches, especially when you see that moment in the trailer where then Padawan Torben kind of falls to his knees and his eyes turn black. But the truth is we don't know anything significant about these Force witches other than they are concerned about the idea of power and who's allowed to wield it, as we've heard from Mother Aniseya in previous trailer stuff. But what's especially interesting to me is how when we hear about the dark side of the Force versus the light side of the Force, we often hear dark side people talking about destiny, talking about going to the dark side is your destiny. You know, Luke was told that it was his destiny to join Darth Vader. Palpatine told Luke that it was his destiny to kill Darth Vader and take his place at Palpatine's side. Dark side folks seem to think that individual choice, the idea that you could potentially make better decisions about things or make light side decisions about things, like that's just not an option. You're either destined to do this or not. And I think they think that everybody is destined to eventually go to the way to the dark side of the Force if enough temptation is put in front of them. Now, for the most part, and in opposition to that, light side of the Force folks tend not to believe in destiny in that regard, tend to think that a person has the power of free will and individual choice, and in many cases could make redemptive decisions instead. Granted, there's a very significant exception in the person of Yoda, who would say on more than one occasion that if you start down the dark path, that it would dominate your destiny, it would forever control your destiny. But in prequel era stuff, we've also seen Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos go down the dark path and then come back from it. Quinlan Vos to the light side of the Force for all intents and purposes, and Asajj Ventress, if not entirely the light side, then certainly not in the dark side at least. So where I'm going with this is the fact that Mother Aniseya is telling May, or what appears to be May, that destiny is not decided by an unseen force. That kind of puts Mother Aniseya in league with what we expect from a light side of the Force person. And I know Leslie Headland, the showrunner and creator of The Acolyte, has talked about people enjoying the duality that exists when all of these characters, and that the show is kind of like, peeling back layers of an onion and whatnot. So that does kind of suggest that maybe Mother Aniseya has a dark side to her as well. But by talking to May about destiny not being decided and that May has agency to pursue this thread, whatever it may be, and because May wants Jedi Master Soul to confront things in his past that he's been running away from, this is really positioning May and Mother Aniseya by extension as good guys in this particular situation. Then, of course, there's also what Renestra Rose says about sensing that this is part of a larger plan, some sort of shift to tip the scales, and so maybe there is something genuine about what May and Mother Aniseya are up to, and yet they're being used or manipulated in some fashion by whoever this dark sider is that we see at the end of the trailer. However, it turns out it is really amazing that for right now, this trailer is kind of flipping everything we think we know about the galaxy and about the players and forces, pun intended, in it. It's just kind of turning everything 180 degrees, depicting the Jedi as problematic and depicting Mother Aniseya and May as possibly doing something good in the galaxy, something that could be redemptive in its own way. But I'd love to know what you think about it. Do you think that the Force Witches are actually up to something good, or do you think that they are up to no good? I'd love to know what you think. If you're catching this on YouTube, comments are right there. If you're catching this on Spotify, the Q&A section's right there. Anywhere else, head over to the blog post for this show's episode at sw7x7.com and let me know what you think. And that is going to do it for this episode of the podcast. If you enjoy the show, you can help more people find this show and add this daily dose of Star Wars joy into their lives. You can do it by just telling people, or you can do it by telling algorithms to do it. That you do by rating and reviewing and liking, subscribing, joining, following, all that fun stuff. And you can even help support the creation and production of this podcast on a daily basis. And it doesn't take much doing it all. You can find out more about that at patreon.com/SW7x7. And it just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for this episode as always. And may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyrighted by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.